I bring you greetings from India, the country which is number 2 in population globally, number 3 in HIV caseload, and number 1 in antiretroviral therapy supply globally. And we are going to discuss a topic which is very important but very neglected, and that is non-drug pre-exposure prophylaxis. Look at this disease triangle. Any disease, any infection is decided by three things: pathogen, which is the organism, environment, and host. And a lot of factors are host dependent. Now, we need to understand what is prophylaxis. The process of guarding against the development of a specific disease or a condition by an action or treatment that affects pathogenesis. Pre-exposure prophylaxis is a preventive step or treatment before exposing to the stimulus or pathogen. And there are different levels of strategies, which is a primary prevention, secondary prevention, tertiary prevention. I'm going to discuss only primary prevention, which is to avoid development of a disease and remove the risk factor. Now, what are the challenges in HIV prevention? Basically, inadequate sex education, which is not part of many curriculum all over the world, particularly in Asia Pacific region, low rates of testing, low rates of condom usage, and there are a lot of myths and misconceptions associated with condom usage, substance abuse or use, and policies. Somewhere policies are very hard, somewhere policies are patient friendly. High rates of STIs, sexually transmitted infections, with stigma around STIs, homophobia, transphobia, feeling of isolation and minority stress. And just to give you example, you can see what is the homophobic climate there around the world. And if you see, Asia Pacific region is the currently most homophobic region as compared to rest of the world. Canada is fine, both Americas are fine, Australia is fine, but we are homophobic. So what are non-pharmacological prevention strategies? There is a primary prevention. There is no vaccine or no cure for HIV. The only known method of HIV prevention are to avoiding sexual exposure to the virus or exposure to the virus, and that can be done through abstinence, monogamy, partner selection, partner reduction, and non-penetrative sex. Avoiding use of alcohol or drug, needle syringe exchange program or methadone substitution, barrier protection, STIs, avoid sex with partners who have regular STI screening, voluntary medical male circumcision, VMCC, which is also called VMCC, treatment as prevention, oral PrEP, and pre-exposure prophylaxis. So look at the current scenario, which was 2020 global HIV pandemic. We have been adding almost 1.5 million infections each year and almost 700,000 deaths each year. So our goal is to see that this is reduced. And we see more than 70% of the new infections in sub-Saharan Africa, and of which young women are almost 25% of infection. So global HIV strategy has built up treatment as prevention in 2020, and the target was 90 by 2020. And that means 90% of people who have HIV, they should know their status. 90% of them who know their status, they should be on ART, and 90% who are on ART should have virally suppressed. And the target infection was seen as a 5 lakh or 500,000 new HIV infections and zero discrimination. Now the strategy is changed to fast tracking, and by 2030 would like to have the same thing as 95, 95, 95, and reducing number of infections to 200,000 with a zero discrimination. So what will be major benefit of this fast track approach? There will be 21 million AIDS-related deaths will be averted by 2030 in 9 years. 5.9 million infections among children averted by 2030. 28 million HIV infections averted by 2030, and 15-fold return of HIV investment. So whatever we are investing in HIV prevention, that will be returned back to us. And in this current target of 25, which are called 8 targets, that not only near 95, 95, 95 or 90, 90, 90 we are discussing, it is also 95% of prevention should be combination prevention. 95% of the women across HIV and sexual and reproductive health services should be having access to care, and 95% coverage of services for vertical transmission. So we are not going to discuss vertical transmission here, but more than that, what they want to see, less than 10% of countries should have punitive laws and policies. Less than 10% experience stigma and discrimination. and less than 10% should be experience gender inequality and violence. So these are the additional targets given. Now, because of that, we think of the traditional approach of ABC, and now that is ABC is converted to ABCD. A is abstain, B is be faithful, C is using condom, and there is a 70 to 80% risk reduction happens with this. Circumcision in male, which is a voluntary male circumcision, drug antiretrovirals for HIV prevention. So we look at this slide from Caprisa, which gives you combination prevention. And there are almost 12 things to prevent HIV infection, and out of which importance is given to HIV counseling and testing, because that is the key of approaching anywhere. And we need to look at those issues. This slide doesn't say anything about screening transfusions, PMTCT, harm reduction, and universal precautions. So besides that, we are talking about oral PrEP, we are talking about PEP, we talk about male circumcision, we talk about microbicide, and we are talking about also treatment as prevention. Now, look at the Indian art, which is a Kama Sutra, 1700-year-old treatise. And if that can be used constructively for HIV, I have used a title called Many Postures with One Partner, Better Than One with Many Partners. And this is one of the basic concepts that if you are monogamous in sexuality, you are not risk to HIV or any other STDs. Also, look at this mobile clinic strategy. Where in a busy city like Mumbai, the clinic goes, mobile clinic goes, get parked. There is a public announcement. There is a exhibition outside the vehicle. There's a meeting going on. People can come and have a group meeting, and they can have also a QA session, IEC session, and condom distribution, and publicly done. And those who are interested, they can get in the van and get the testing done. In the van it is done. So what message you are giving? Be good. If you cannot be good, be careful, and in any case, be informed. So bottom line is very important, that you be informed before you take any risk in life. So we look at the timeline of 50 years in preventing transmission of and acquisition of HIV. In the initial period, 1980s, it was a strategy of harm reduction, behavioral change that was from Uganda, and 100% condom usage from Thailand. Then the strategies came about male and female condom, and female condom was first time introduced in the era of HIV only, STI treatment, HIV testing and counseling, and post-exposure prophylaxis. Then came male circumcision, treatment as prevention, and oral PrEP. And there are so many studies to support oral PrEP. And what we are looking at in the next 9 years is vaginal ring, vaccines, antibodies, long-acting injectable ARVs, and question mark. So we raised an alarm in 1994 itself that it is not only street brothel side prostitution which is a risk factor for acquiring HIV or giving HIV to them, but it is also call girl, bar girl, high-class sex workers. They are also equally vulnerable because it is an exchange of sex between money and the sex. Combination prevention has a proven impact. It's the economic empowerment of women and girls, and there are image studies to say that. It's a cash transfer done during the program. Secondary education for girls and young women and girls, and community empowerment. Sex workers in India, which is our project, Saheli project. Harm reduction strategy policies. So if you look at combination prevention, there is oral PrEP also, which the other speaker is going to speak, and it has to be taken daily. But it should be used in combination with other prevention. So what has happened after oral PrEP had come, people forgotten about condom usage, and they think that by using oral PrEP they are going to prevent other infections also. So oral PrEP is in addition to other preventive measures, particularly condom. So condom, PEP, healthy lifestyle, treatment of STIs, medical male circumcision, ART for partners living with HIV. These are all very important in combination prevention. And remember, counseling should highlight that oral PrEP should ideally be used with condoms, because oral PrEP may protect you from HIV, but condom will protect you from other 19 STIs. So if we look at different studies from the region, Cambodia, Maharashtra, Thailand, and Pokhara from Nepal, and how the scaled up combination prevention can increase consistent condom usage. Now in Maharashtra, particularly Mumbai, at a peak of the time, we could distribute 1 million condom every month in the red light area of Mumbai. And that prevalence, which was 0.5% in 86, it rose to 70% in 1998. And that was brought down now around 6.9% or 5% or 4% in different regions. And that is because of consistent condom use. And no condom, no sex has become a policy in the red light areas. So this is the condom distribution program. And initially, even people were shy to talk about condom or taking condom in hand. And I used to go with a garland of condom around me, sometimes putting condom on the microphone and talking through that, asking people, can you hear me? If you can hear me through condomized microphone, you can also enjoy sex with condomized organ. And that was an unorthodox method and AIDS awareness. And you can see the Saheli project. Saheli is a Hindi word that means friend. And the sex workers, rather than calling them whores or sex workers, we call them friends, because people come for temporary friendship with them, and for that friendship they pay also. So this project was described as a UNAIDS best practices, and is a peer education model. So like the sex work exists in a different hierarchical way. At the top level there's a brothel owner, at middle level there's a brothel manager, at the lower level there's a girl. And if we do not empower girls at the lower level, whatever you do with the education and advocacy with the brothel manager or brothel owner, it will not work. But we cannot enter this system without convincing the brothel owners or brothel managers. And we devise this kind of system, our peer education model, where they educate other of their community people. So also we looked at treatment as prevention. Individually, treatment as prevention is very good. In a conjugal relationship, if one partner is infected and other partner is not, you treat that partner, that other partner is protected. But in community impact, there are 4 large universal test and trial studies which has little or no impact on HIV incidence. So there is no silver bullet, and we cannot depend only on 90-90-90 to treat ourselves out of the pandemic. So it will not happen. And we also look at gaps and what is target. So if you look at gaps, whether you talk about sex workers or gay men or transgender people or people who inject drugs, when the target is 100, the achievement is around 17, 13, 9 or 11. So I think there's a huge gap. So UNAIDS at United Nations General Assembly, they devise a preventive target, and there are different targets. So 5 target of them. 5th one is pre-exposure prophylaxis, but other 4 are equally important to be discussed here, and I will discuss one by one. So target 1 or pillar 1 is adolescent girl, young women, and now they call acronym AGYW, and their male partners. What is needed? We need inclusive laws and policies. We need to have defined packages of services for all adolescents, whether there's a diagnosis, prevention, comprehensive care, treatment, adolescent sexual reproductive sexual health services, comprehensive sexuality education, address-based violence, also adolescent-friendly services, address structural issues, improve data, age disaggregation, and not all adolescents are the same. So we need a tailored approach. Also, we looked at different strategies and which strategies need to be focused and expanded. And there are the priority packages. So whether we look at community-based prevention, school-based prevention, HIV-sensitive cash transfer, and pre-exposure prophylaxis. And all these are mainly done in Africa because 70% of the newer infections are in Africa, and 25% of the new infections are in the young women and male partners of the women. Pillar 2 talks about key populations, and that is a comprehensive service package. So HIV prevention, harm reduction, HIV testing services, HIV treatment and care, prevention management of co-infections and comorbidities, sexual and reproductive health. These are all health interventions, but there is also structural intervention required, and there we need society and government to come in. There is a supportive legislation, policy and funding, addressing stigma and discrimination, health services available, accessible and acceptable, community empowerment, and addressing violence. And WHO positions structural intervention within a comprehensive public health approach, and they are piggybacking on each other, they depend on each other. So look at Malaysia harm reduction where they have a strategy of imprisonment for those who are on the drug. So this kind of strategy is also to be looked at from all holistic angle. So there's the nationwide coverage of opioid substitution therapy, needle and syringe program, which is NSP, partnership between government and civil society. There's a national program on that, and attention to crossover between drug use and incarceration. So we need to have a carrot and stick kind of approach. At some places, people would talk about more carrot rather than the stick. Pillar 3 is condom and lubricants. And we can see there are different colors of condom, different varieties of condom, different sizes of condom. And all these 4 C's, the cap, cloth, in India we call chappal, and condom, 4. So the verdict is no one fit for all. So we need to look at the different regimen or different strategies. Varieties of condom, there are powdered condom which are phased out, colored, flavor, strawberry, banana, chiku, etc. With naloxone 9 or jelly with different sizes, different thicknesses, and also female condom. And in comprehensive condom programming, we have different components. There is a leadership and coordination of partnerships, advocacy, policies and regulations, resource mobilization. Demand, access and utilization, we need to do market research, we need to understand people's psyche, total market approach, targeted distribution, behavioral change communication, social mobilization. Supply and commodity security, forecasting and target setting, procurement, quality assurance, MIS, distribution, warehousing and storage, and support. So social, behavioral and operational support, capacity and institutional strengthening, integration, monitoring, evaluation, documentation and dissemination. This is a female condom. Somehow it never became popular. And also there's a new condom with a disposable pouch, because people found it very difficult to use condom and dispose them. So with the pouch. And then condoms are effective, cost effective. But what are the issues? Condom supply and commodity security. Fortunately, in India, there is no shortage of condom and the condoms are cheap. But those countries which do not manufacture condom, there is a supply issue. Demand, access, utilization, and disposal. So I suggested what is to be done for disposal. Monitoring, tracking, and other issues. So these are the different studies to show that what is the impact of condom usage. So impact of condom usage, if you look at all intervention done, then the impact is very good. But only with either condom or condom scale up, the impacts are a little bit better, but they are not at bottom. So we need to have a combination prevention or all-inclusive scale up. Pillar 4 is voluntary medical male circumcision or VMMC. Somehow, cumulative number of voluntary male circumcisions are going up in about 15 priority countries. The 55 to 65% of reduction of HIV acquisition is seen in uninfected males. And this gap, which is about 25 million additional young men in the high prevalence setting, are to be targeted in next few years. Again, if you look at annual number of voluntary medical male circumcision in 15 priority countries, and if you can see Botswana and most of the countries are from Africa. So they have done very good scale up each year up till 2020. And also you look at what is the target left. So target left is around 7 million voluntary medical male circumcision missed, and that need to be completed. So success in voluntary medical circumcision is there, but it is not celebrated enough. This is not leveraged enough. And VMMC is not at all popular in Asia and the Pacific. Whatever religious circumcisions are done, they are done, but voluntary circumcisions are not done. So the numbers in 2017 were 18.6 million are estimated to have prevented 230,000 HIV infection through 2017. And these are the Kenya figures to show how it has reduced the numbers. So if you look at in early age, lot of circumcisions are done. After that, circumcisions are not done much. So it is either up to 10, 20 or maximum up to 30 and 40. But if you look at 2020, maximum circumcisions are done only by 20. So pillar 5 is PrEP, PrEP-say and other preventive strategies. And remember, as I said earlier only, PrEP is with condom. PrEP is not without condom. And act fast, and we need to look at all other issues related to this. Now, when you look at different strategies of PrEP, only daily PrEP and event-based PrEP, they have yielded a very good result. But otherwise, all other results are not so good. And if you look at other like monthly vaginal ring contains dapivirine, results are around 40%, 50%. So only medical PrEP or oral PrEP has a very good result. However, if you look at uptake of PrEP country-wise, you find that in Asia Pacific, it is very low. In Brazil, in America, in Australia, in some parts of Africa, particularly Southern Africa, is very good. So we need to scale up the PrEP, oral PrEP, until such time we need to harp on also non-medical PrEP. Now look at recent developments. People are talking about daily oral PrEP, and that is now done in several places in several countries. Now they're talking about also 2 monthly injectable cabotegravir, dapivirine, and other options are also available. And look at the dapivirine timeline progress. In 2020 to 2022, they are now doing at a different level in different countries. Again, the PEPFAR countries, mostly Africa and some parts of Asia, Zimbabwe, and they are looking at some of the anticipated decisions application in some countries of Africa. Now, if you look at dapivirine vaginal ring, and if you look at the study which is done, which is called MTN 020 study or ASPIRE study, what they found that HIV protection in efficacy versus placebo is very low, 27%. So I think we cannot depend solely on this dapivirine ring. Then there are also looking at broadly neutralizing antibodies as biannual injection, every 6 monthly injection. And that is also can be used as a PrEP. And look at bench to bedside, means they started research in 2004, and in 2020 it has come to this level. So I think every research takes 15-20 years, and this is a SAMBA trial which shows that a phase 1, phase 2 is successful. There is also antibody mediated prevention available, and it is also published recently. So this is another newer way of prevention. So what are the guiding principles for prevention success? Number 1, location population approach, addressing the heterogeneity of the HIV epidemic. So it cannot be same thing which is in Africa can be implemented in Asia. A people-centered approach that categorizes that different people different prevention options exist. Individual may choose various options at different stages of their lives. Partnership between government and community actors, and that can be public-private partnership. And CBOs or community-based organizations, they can deliver quality HIV prevention services, and they can also advocate for legal and policy reforms to enable effective programs to be provided and scaled up. Now, take-home message is basically we need to prevent daily 4,000 new HIV infections and close to 700,000 HIV-related deaths annually. To achieve zero new infection, multi-pronged strategies and combination prevention needed. Whenever new things come, people tend to forget and discard even time-tested approaches. Preventing HIV is a holistic approach. One size fits all doesn't work everywhere. Some people are averse to taking medicine. Therefore, we need to have a non-drug PrEP. And there has been a very famous three-monkey approach in Gandhian philosophy. You must know about the 3 monkeys. You must have known about the 3 monkeys, but the 4th monkey is covering the private part. So we need to look at all 4 monkeys, and we need to change the philosophy for 21st century. I would like to thank Dr. Anton Pozniak for inviting me to give a talk and also sharing some slides with me. Dr. Salim Abdul Karim from CAPRISA, WHO and UNAIDS, AVIAC, Virology Education and Organizing Committee of this 3rd International Forum for HIV Treatment and Prevention in Asia Pacific region. Thank you very much.